Hey everybody, welcome to the first ever episode of Crowd Sorcery, which is a new show I plan on doing every once in a while, probably a couple of times a month moving forward. And what I want to do is talk about all the coolest crowdfunding games that I have found that are about to come to a close. Yes, I'm about to list for you 7 really crackerjack games. Some of them I played, some of them other contributors to the channel played, some I haven't played at all. I've just checked out the page and watched other people's videos. I think they are all very interesting, and all of them are going to be coming to a close within the next 2 weeks, so there's not much time to get on board with these crowdfunding games. And that's what this Crowd Sorcery show is all about. I'm going to try to be in and out, just get the facts, ma'am, and down in the show notes, there will be a link to every one of the either Kickstarter or GameFound pages so you can read up a little bit more about the games and see if they'd be right for you. Okay, sound good? Well then, if so, let's get going with the first game on my list, Aeon's End, Past and Future, which I've got to say, I love Aeon's End so much. I've been covering it ever since it came out a million years ago, and this latest iteration is going to be live until June 24th. So, Aeon's End is the best fantasy cooperative deck building game there is in the industry, bar none, and there's so much content. What is in this new one? Well, 2 new storylines you can play through that tell the story ages ago, before the first Aeon's End, hundreds of years in the past. We find out where did the Nameless come from. Also storyline stuff from the future as well. Very exciting. But more importantly, new bosses, new playable characters, and new concepts for how you buy stuff in the market. You can put cards on layaway that are too expensive for you to buy, and then your teammates can pay off the rest of it to get you the card, as an example. Or cards can actually morph and change in the middle of a battle. Really, really cool ideas. Aeon's End has always been one of the best, and Aeon's End Past and Future, you've got a few more days to check it out, folks, on Kickstarter. And you can check out my paid Kickstarter preview of it if you would like to know more. Alrighty, so that is the first one. What is up next, you might be asking? How about Fluffy Frontier? Now, this is one I have not played. I've just watched an excellent video that's on the Kickstarter page from Edward Euler of Heavy Cardboard. This is a game about a bunch of international space agencies, NASA and, the US and Japan and other countries that are all working together to land a probe on Halley's Comet, a manned probe on Halley's Comet, and then get samples and do experiments. Here's the twist, though. It turns out all these space agencies, behind the scenes, are run by cats. And so this game has a really cute and quirky sense of humor with its presentation, but actually very serious gameplay. And what I'm really interested in is a real-time, it's a simultaneous action selection programming game where every round, everybody programs what they want the one probe that we all share to do, driving around on Halley's Comet, making discoveries, getting samples, and we all reveal at the same time what it's going to do. And so I might have the perfect plan I programmed in until you mess my plan up. And so I have to anticipate where you're going, and the game gives you lots of tools to respond on the fly as the probe suddenly is on the west side of the plateau instead of the east side. And what can I do to fix that? It looks really clever. For higher player counts, there's a lot of trade. For lower player counts, I think it would work because you can really anticipate what your opponent's going to do. And I'm bummed, only 5 days left. It closes on the 29th, and it is yet to fund. So definitely check out Fluffy Frontier. Okay, then let's move on to the Umbrella Academy, the board game, which is on GameFound right now. And this was another paid crowdfunding preview. Kimberly did great coverage of it. And this is a cooperative game based on the Umbrella Academy comic books. It looks really great. I love the Mike Mignola. Is that right? I think that's his art, and he's the writer, creator of the original series. I'm more familiar with the Netflix show, but this is more for the comic fans. But more importantly, it's for co-op fans who love the gameplay stylings of something like Pandemic, right? There's lots of fires, you're running all over the place, using special powers, working collaboratively, racing against the clock to save the day. This game does a few very interesting things, though. One is the fact that we're all part of a big dysfunctional family, and a lot of the cards we end up in our hands, because we drive everything with the cards in our hands, are basically family squabbles. It'll come up at the worst time that we have to deal with. But more, that was where it pulled me in originally. I was really intrigued by that. But after I watched Kimberly's video, what's really intriguing about this is every time you set up the board, there are are random hotspots, problems you have to solve, but also opportunities that you can go and get reinforcements. And as you travel around the board, you're having to decide, well, am I gonna take a detour to get this bonus out of the library, or am I gonna go right to the moon and fight the problem that's up there? But what's even more interesting, after you clear those things out, there are basic powers that if you visit a place where you've already cleared out the problem, you become more powerful too. But then new problems will show up there. So imagine a game like Pandemic where the board is incredibly dynamic, constantly changing, not just putting more cubes out, but putting new story events. And sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, and you're constantly adjusting on the fly to come up with the best overall strategy to win the day. It seems very, very clever. I was really impressed by Kim's video. You've got, when is it closed? This one is closing on June 29th, so you've got a little bit more time to go check it out, just over a week. That is the Umbrella Academy, the board game. Okay, let's go on to a game that is closing on the 30th of June, First in Flight. And now, I have played this myself. I did a Kickstarter preview for it, so you folks can check that out on my channel. But let me just tell you, oh my gosh, this is great. This is about the early days of aviation. It says, well, what if it wasn't Wilbur and Orville Wright who did that first flight at Kitty Hawk, first motorized air flight for 36 meters? What if it was one of the other famous early aviators who did it? Everybody gets their own real historical person, and there's a wide variety, lots of really cool representation in this game. The history of some of these people is so fascinating. I was really watching history come alive as I was playing it. But we are all racing to deck build a deck that represents our flying machine. And we're trying to tune it, get the bugs out of it, trying to play on our experience so that we can get more cards. And when we eventually launch test flights, it's a push your luck mini game where you can keep drawing more and more cards, but there's bad cards in there that can cause you to crash. And if you can actually do a test flight, even a short one, without crashing, you get huge benefits. But if you do crash, there's a benefit as well, because that means you discovered the flaws and you can get them out of your deck so they won't bother you in future test flights. So the deck building is great. The push your luck is great, but then it's also a time track game and a really well implemented one. Probably the best implemented one I've seen since Glenn Moore. So that's fantastic too. 3 great game mechanisms I absolutely love, all coming together in a game just steeped in history, so full of information. I was very, very impressed by First in Flight, and you have until June 30th to check it out, folks, if you'd like to know more. Okay, then let's move on to the next one on July 1st. Is it Septima or Septima is going to be shutting down. Now, this is another one that was covered on the channel, this time by Kimberly. She did a great Kickstarter paid preview for it. And this is from publisher Mind Clash Games. They are known for incredibly dense, heavy, complex Euros. And this one is a dense, heavy, complex Euro about running your own witch's coven. And, brewing potions, healing people, changing into animal familiars. So it's very fantastical, but it also has more than a passing nod to real history because there are witch hunters. And every time you do really big bonus-laden activities and get really big turns, the witch hunters catch wind of it and start chasing you down. And so you always have this interesting tension. You want to do small, little, inconsequential turns so the hunters aren't catching up with you. But it's all about synergy. Septima is the head witch, and every round she's going to have specific activities that if you do those types of activities, you'll get big bonuses because you're in sync with her, and that's what draws the ire of the hunters. But you can also be in sync with your fellow players because everybody every round picks one card and reveals them simultaneously. So if I really want to do something big and I can anticipate what you're going to do, then we can both get the bonuses, and maybe that'll be bigger scare for you because you're closer to the witch hunters than I am. So there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on. It's a really good looking game, like all of Mind Clash games. They say that this is not as big and heavy as complex as previous Mind Clash games, but I don't know. Watch Kim's video for yourself, folks. I was very impressed. There's a lot going on. It's a big game, and it's already at $500,000 raised, and you've got 9 days left. It closes on July 1st. That's Septima. Or Septima. Okay, we're not done yet, though, folks. I've got 2 more to talk about. Also closing on July 1st is Skyrise, a game of auctioning and artistic egos. Kim covered this one for the channel as well. I just made that video live this morning, and it is fantastic. This is a game set in a future, imagined future, where we live in the sky on floating islands with dirigibles, so it's kind of a steampunky thing. But humanity has reached its post-scarcity future. Everybody's needs are met, and now, as a species, we focus on artistic endeavors, and just everything is about increasing mankind. Just the quality of life for everybody. That's the setting. I love that. It's beautiful, but put that aside. Oh my gosh, this game is beautiful too. And it's so smart. This has got to be one of the most innovative auction games I have ever seen, because we are bidding higher and higher, in a standard, you bid 12, I bid 15, you bid 23, I bid 62, whatever. We are bidding to get the right to build buildings, as odes to various and sundry artistic endeavors of mankind. And we don't just, we go around and bid. The way we bid is we take our buildings that we want to build, we put them on the board in kind of a snake-like way. If you put your building number 23 down, I can raise you by putting my building number 27 in the region next to yours. And then if everybody else passes, it's my building that got built in that space. So there's this really interesting tension between, okay, when am I going to use my big super valuable buildings that nobody can beat, but I might put them in a place where I don't actually want to build a building here because of the way the snake auction, for lack of a better term, has evolved. Watch Kim's video, folks. It's quite unlike anything I've ever seen before. The closest I can think of is maybe a little bit kind of like Goa, but that's drafting, not auction. Such a smart game, and a stunningly gorgeous game too. It's almost at 300,000. And with good reason. The gameplay is sharp. The presentation is amazing. It's from one of the designers as Jaipur, one of my favorite 2-player games of all time, and definitely worth checking out. You have until July 1st to check out Skyrise, everybody. And then we've got one more game to talk about. Bot Factory from Eagle Griffin Games and Vita Lizarda and Joao Martins. This game is all about players working in a robot assembly factory. We're trying to build cute little cartoony robots. And we are trying to grab the right pieces, assemble them together, while always trying to stay one step ahead of our manager named Sandra, who is activating certain worker placement spots, blocking them from us, and we are constantly just dipping all over the place in this very simple, straightforward, elegant worker placement game that ultimately leads to some very deep and interesting gameplay. What else would you expect from Vita Lizarda? Here's the deal, though, folks. This kind of feels like a Vita Lizarda gateway game, because if any of what I just said sounds familiar, it might be because you're a Lizarda fan who, like me, loves Autobahn. And this is basically kind of like an Autobahn made more streamlined and simple and new user friendly. It's got the same Kanban style worker placement. Kanban is in like the top 100 games of all time on Board Game Geek. So the idea of a Kanban that is gotten for a fraction of the price, that can be played in a fraction of the time, and can be introduced to more players because it's a little bit more lightweight, a little bit more new user friendly, and adorable as well. Man, this thing just looks fantastic to me. And it's going to be closing on July 1st as well. So as of recording this, you have 9 days to check it out. And folks, I'm really surprised. It has not hit its funding goal yet, and I'm not quite sure why. Everything about this looks great. Vita Lizarda, a more user-friendly, fast-playing version of one of his greatest games of all time. Many people consider Kanban his greatest game of all time. Amazing presentation with a rotating, spinning board with a really cool way that you draft tiles, cool silk-screened little robot meeples that you make. Everything about this game screams quality. It's even fairly low price, too, considering everything you get in this box, and yet it's struggling. Man, I haven't gotten a chance to play this. They didn't contact us to cover it. I definitely would have liked to, because I'm a huge Vita Lizarda fan, and my only problem with Vita's games is normally they're a bit too long and heavy for me and Jen. This seems like it was made for me, and it might be made for you folks. So I definitely suggest spending a few minutes, if you get a chance, checking out Bot Factory. Again, links are down in the show notes. And that's it, folks. The first episode of Crowd Sorcery in the bag. Let me know what you think. We should be back in a couple of weeks because there will be more games that we have to let you know about. Some that we've covered for the channel, some that are just really sparked our interest. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss us coming forward. And I want to say thank you very much for watching. Have a very, very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.